You need to be getting smarter every single day. In a world where people are, underdeveloped, on a planet where, they call themselves humans, but they're really underdeveloped fucking hominoids. Every day you should be taking forwards to grow mentally, spiritually, intellectually, in every area of life. If you're not expanding, you are contracting. And since the beginning of time, the universe has been expanding. So to contract is to go against the nature of the universe. So do yourself a favor and understand that the habits we assign when you get on the program, when you join the community, they're to expand you in every area of life instead of remain in the same fucking spot and slowly deplete and decrease rapidly as you compound, yourself downward and you spiral away from the goals and the success of life to, continuously fall down the steps on the staircase to heaven instead of, get off your ass and, start taking steps forward in life. I mean, you guys are like snowballs of shit just going downhill. Do yourself a favor and compound into something, beyond your normal, routine. Do yourself a favor and pick up a fucking book, for fuck's sake. Do yourself a favor and clean your fucking room. Do yourself a favor and do something productive. You have to understand that every time you stagnate in anything, less than the best, that's who the fuck you are. And so every day you wake up and you put on this psychological mask of what the fuck you're not. You have this fake ass smile, but when we look at your room, that's a reflection of your soul. When we look at your, bank account, that's a reflection of your soul. When we look at your body, that is a fucking reflection of your fucking soul. And so you can half-ass your life and you can pretend to not be that piece of shit bitch in the mirror. But in reality, actuality, factuality, and every fucking metric of existence, we see through you as you protrude and diverge your mediocrity into the universe and you spill out, this, rudimentary form of what you could have been into the universe. And now we have to be aware of you. When you get to a level of development, you fucking hate being aware of certain individuals because their soul is emanating this low quality, emanation of mediocrity that just postulates and reverberates inadequacy into the environment as the mediocrity leaks from their fucking mind into the external world. So do yourself a favor and clean your mind, and that begins with your personal development. You are unclean, you are unsanitary, you are a waste of area on earth if you're not doing anything to take steps forward and grow in life. If you are not growing in life and being better and being the best version of you to provide the best experience for yourself and others, you are definitely a waste of space on the fucking planet, because there's people that will, take the opportunity of life that you have. There's people without hands, there's people without legs, there's people suffering in war on the fucking planet, and then we have you, a mediocre piece of shit who has the opportunity every day to be something better for someone else in life and neglects that responsibility, sits there, gets drunk, watches porn, and wastes their fucking life, until they hit the fucking casket. But do yourself a favor and understand that every time you neglect the responsibility to actually develop accordingly into something higher than what the fuck you are now, is every time you neglected, to experience a higher form of yourself. You have to understand that when you develop, your reality will reflect something higher quality, because as you develop, so does your reality. So as you grow as an individual, so does what you experience on earth. And so every day you wake up in this, loop, this samsara cycle of the same year as the year endlessly repeats on this cycle of mediocrity as you contaminate the rest of your life with this joke of a bitch, this half-assed version of what you could have been, and then you experience the same year over and over again. If you're not experiencing something new, completely different and transformed and evolved year by year to stack and compound that development into something so ferocious and magnificent, to experience a different version of yourself, to watch yourself evolve, to go from, weak to strong, to go from empty to potent, to go from, less to more, to be the best, but to watch yourself, grow from less. You have to understand that development and evolution is the only fucking way of life. And if the tree is going to go from a seed into a tree, but you go from, a bitch to remaining a bitch and then stagnating and being a bitch, and then when someone is reverberating something higher than you, you go and you reflect into this, rudimentary cadences that you feed to feel like shit and weaponize your own mind against yourself as you poison yourself with the alcohol and drugs, to understand that you could really just rise in standard, hold yourself accountable for that low quality piece of shit bitch in the mirror do yourself a fucking favor. Understand that every time you neglect to take a step forward to, engulf yourself in positive habits, to wake up with the intention to acquire, the best version of you. I mean, you're literally acquiring, you're working towards the best version of you. You are crafting, you are your own project. You are, creating the best version of you through your conduct. And so when we look at superior conduct and inferior conduct, and then when we call you inferior, I mean, where does your time and energy go into? Inferior, superior, better or worse. If your time and energy goes into negative habits, and, negative would be inferior, to drink, to poison yourself, to, indulge in the cigarette, would be inferior fucking conduct. And so if all you do is channel your time and energy into inferior habits, your habits are a reflection of you, because your habits inhabit your mind. So if you drink and smoke every fucking day and you're, this reckless drunk, well, it's because that's what the fuck you invested your time and energy into. So you are inferior by universal conduction. So understand that every day you wake up and you decide to pick up the bottle and drain yourself and be a parasite to yourself, and have this parasitic symbiosis as you latch onto your own consciousness and you suck dry the essence of life, and you continue to, spill over this mediocrity at the highest level, to hate yourself in the highest of forms, which is to destroy yourself passively and then have a smile while doing it. To lie to yourself and say it's okay to poison and kill myself passively, as I unconsciously have a unconscious volition to passively kill myself. You have to understand how motivations and underlying motives work. If you could be okay with passively killing yourself, if you can pick up a bottle, you have to understand that every action has an underlying motive. And that action for you to pick up a bottle, deep in your mind, there's a neural circuit, and in that neural circuit is an emotion that has created this underlying motive where you thought it was okay to passively poison yourself. And so when we introspect and we dive deep into the depth of your mind, we can see who you really are, and we can peer through the abyss and pierce the weakness of your soul, which is vanity and ego, which you allow to permeate your being every time you pick up a fucking bottle and passively kill yourself. So do yourself a favor, drop the nicotine, drop the vape, and do something positive with your life, because you only live once. Time is slowly decreasing, and your time on earth is finite and limited. So to waste your time on earth is to be a waste of time on earth. And if you're a waste of time on earth, bitch, you're a waste of space too. Especially if you have people like me. In comparison, inferior you are, because that's what the fuck you put your time and energy into. I'm not better than you. You're not better than me. But when we look at the habits, when we look at the individual that we create daily, you're inferior as fuck, you're less, and you need to do something to be more, or you're going to die an inferior fuck, and your life will be nothing but a waste of fucking time and energy. And, to waste time and energy is to waste your life. So do yourself a favor and be more than less. Peace!